gang shit. That's all I'm on. I love that these guys are doing this video. I'm a huge fan of 22 LR. I got a couple pistols, one that's set up just like this minus the suppressor. I have a red dot and a laser on the pistol, and it is a ton of fun to shoot. It's got 33 rounds in the magazine, and I would absolutely use it in a close quarters defensive situation because there's no recoil. You could mag dump this 22 LR into people, and they would quickly find out that this gun is deadlier than people think it is.
So right here we have a Volquartsen 22 pistol. It is basically a Ruger Mark IV. So if you come and take a look at that there, Kenny, it's a fairly attractive pistol. We love this, of course, but the bigger question is why are we doing so much on 22 pistols? Well, I think that the 22 pistol is probably one of the better survival options you can get. It's a very versatile weapon. The ammunition is very cheap. The report is extremely quiet, and I want to talk about that for a moment. So right here with this Volquartsen, we do have a 4.5-inch barrel. Now we have a Liberty Precision suppressor right here, and a big thank you to them for donating it to the channel for this video. With the 4.5-inch barrel, most 22 ammunition, not all, but most, will be subsonic because there isn't enough barrel, not enough gunpowder is expended in speeding that projectile up, so you do have a subsonic projectile from all ammunition. Because of that, with a suppressor, these are incredibly, incredibly quiet. So I find this to be a wonderful weapon for both hunting, small game, rabbits, squirrels, that type of shit, or if you have to, dispatching certain foes in bad scenarios. So we can hear how quiet this thing is. Super quiet. The report is extremely pleasant, and especially in urban areas or something like that, these could be extremely effective weapons. But the question is how well do these perform? I've heard a lot of talk about 22 being just phenomenal in the human body, where it enters and it just scrambles. Have you heard that shit before? Where like 22 will enter, it won't exit, but it'll like scramble, it's gonna scramble your eggs and just, that's not the correct saying at all, but it's gonna mess you up. It's not gonna exit, it's just gonna mess everything up inside of you.
Like intrusive thought.
Or just, you know, it's just gonna do terrible things. I don't know what the actual answer is. That's why I'm interested to see today with the ballistic dummy. That is why we are doing so much kind of testing on the 22 pistol today. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and let's talk about the dummy, and then we'll get into it. So right here we have the ballistic dummy from Ballistic Dummy Labs. Charles, you do know that this is not a real person, right?
Like a communist.
Very true, Charles. Ballistic gelatin is not a one-to-one. Again, for your typical ballistic gelatin, you want about 12 inches of penetration to be a good analog to human tissue. So these being a little bit thinner, you're gonna see a little bit more over-penetration than what you'd see in an actual human body. That being said, we do have analogs for organs that represent their density really well. We do have good bone analogs. The actual course of the projectile is fairly similar, and these do pretty well. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start with a further shot in the gut, and we're gonna see how this guy performs. Okay, we have the 40 grain Winchester Super X. We're firing at about, what do you say this is?
I don't know, like 100 yards.
Okay, we're about 30 yards right here. We're gonna do a gut shot. We have 40 grain Winchester Super X. We'll give it a shot.
Let's make a video.
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action game War Thunder has received a major
The reason a gut shot is so bad is obviously you have a lot of bacteria. So if you have any type of perforation into that area, the risk of infection is quite high. So although it is not always...
So I was trying to look up the 5.56 round, which is 22 caliber, it's 223. Round is so deadly to humans because there's a shock wave created when that bullet enters the body above a certain speed. At low speeds, it tends to tumble around in the body and not exit, whereas a high caliber round is going to punch a hole straight through. That's actually better for a gunshot victim and increases their survivability because you don't have to extract the bullet. And bullets aren't usually sanitized, so pretty easy, like he said, to either get an infection, sepsis from your own body if you get gut shot, or just a bullet getting stuck inside you, especially a lead bullet, is not going to be good long term for you if you don't get that bullet out. Imagine this, you get up in the middle of the night, it's dark in your house, you don't have time to get earplugs, you want something quiet, light, tons of ammo, won't over-penetrate walls. For defense, if you have children or family members in the home and you are confident with this pistol and you have ammo that feeds reliably with it and you have tested this weapon extensively, then I would say use a 22 for home defense. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you know that this thing feeds well, there's so many benefits. You can shoot this without hearing protection. It won't deafen you. You can take follow-up shots immediately. 22 is a gun that you can pull the trigger as fast as you want, and you will have perfect sight picture control with a little bit of training. I mean, if you're not familiar with guns, it's not going to be the case, but with some training, you can absolutely defend your home with a very nice 22 semi-auto, high-capacity pistol. Beautiful gun. I think a lot of people are overlooking this weapon as a defensive gun for the home. And like you said, fun to shoot, cheap ammo, subsonic because the barrel's short. So many benefits. And 22 suppressors still require the $200 tax stamp, but they are much more affordable than your higher caliber, high velocity suppressors that need to be machined to a much higher standard.
It's a quick death. It is, without good medical intervention, certainly a terrible death. Right here, the round entered. This is at 30. You can see good perforation. And then what's interesting is that it actually stopped right there on the spine. You can see where it flattened out completely. Are you able to see that through? Death is certainly possible given the 22 pistol. It did not enter and scramble the body though.
I mean, maybe if you're living like south of the equator and the nearest hospital is 72 hours away.
What if the civilization ends?
Don't get shot.
We had an earlier shot, Aaron shot of mine that was a little bit high, and that was from 30. You can see right here that it did shatter the rib. Did not make it too terribly far in. I'm interested to see how it's going to do at closer range. The ribs always are going to present a problem. A hard bony structure is just going to stop many rounds and deflect them, and in many cases protect you. And that's, just like in getting like a blunt force impact.
I mean, if you punch a piece of bone out, even if it stops the bullet, you're punching the bone into the body. So I disagree a little bit with his assessment on this. You're still causing trauma. And the 22, unlike a 45 or even a 9mm, is not a weapon that I'm going to take a single shot. Especially if I've got 33 loaded up, we're going to do 5-round bursts, or more. You got plenty of ammo to play with. You might as well make sure that you are neutralizing the threat if there is one.
Same thing is going to apply when it comes to firearms. What are you going to say, Charles?
I was going to say, like, I'd rather get shot in the chest any day now that I know this.
You know what?
It stops bullets.
It doesn't stop bullets. Okay, let's try it out. All right, we have...
The other interesting thing that's really cool is this is actually what would kill most people in the old ship battles when you had wooden ships. The cannonball, I mean, it's just a ball, right? So it would really, if it was just the cannonball, it'd miss almost everybody. But what would happen is the cannonball would hit the side of these wooden ships and blow out wooden shrapnel that could clear a gun deck. So one cannonball, if it penetrated the hull, could wipe out an entire gun squad, several gun squads. I mean, you could lose 10 to 20 crew members from one cannonball penetrating the hull. So same thing with your ribs. If you splinter that bone, now you've increased from one bullet and you've created shards of bone and the bullet. All this stuff is drifting around in your body. Every time you move, it's not going to be pleasant.
Yeah, 5 yards, 40 grain. It's always so underwhelming with the 22. Oh, look
Still
at that.
good.
So when it hit the rib right there, it actually shattered across. You see how it shattered? You can see like the little lead fragments right there. And it also fractured the sternum. I know this because I quit med school and makes me a pretty good doctor, but it didn't appear to get that deep at all or to hit anything that was terribly vital.
I mean, a cracked sternum.
I'm gonna do a side shot right there, so I'll fire through the sternum side shot because a lot of shots are not dead on. We'll see how it does in that case.
Yeah, this is typical for certain neighborhoods too, because they'll just start, yeah, and people running away and stuff. So a lot of people get shot in the side.
So the cool thing about a 22 as well is that unlike a traditional 9mm recoil operated weapon, if you press a muzzle into something with a 22 pistol, it's not going to unlock the breech, and so you can actually fire at contact distance, which is pretty cool. That's actually super quiet. So I guess the real suppressor the entire time was a human body. So you can actually see the how the round traveled right there. So it hit the rib and shattered immediately, but the larger part of the slug, if you want to come around here in the back, actually it was stopped by the PVC stand right here, but likely would have traveled to the spine. So certainly 22 is lacking a lot of the penetrative qualities that we're seeing from like 9mm.
Yeah.
I think it still has it. I think it's certainly still a killer weapon.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple scenarios. One, you get shot, then you got like 17 hours to get to the hospital, or you get shot and it hits your spine, and then you're doing an Ivar the Boneless to the hospital. But like most of Ivar the Boneless in the show, you know, he's all walking around on his hands because he couldn't use his legs.
This game, you're not ready.
So next up, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be doing a contact shot at the back of the neck. There might be certain opportunities presented where you have to dispatch to someone where they're not quite aware of your presence. We'll be doing the back of the neck, and then we'll also be doing one at the back of the head to see what occurs. It just sounds gross. I don't like it at all. As soon as it hit the spine, it blew apart the spine. You can see right there. You can see how it shredded it. And then it looks like it exited into the what would be the esophagus. So that seems like a fairly terrible death.
I mean, on it, if you're letting someone walk up that close and do that with a,
But you're not aware, you're turned away. You don't have eyes in the back of the head or anything.
I mean, there's footsteps, there's feeling the gun pressed against you, there's like, and what type of hitman is using a 22?
Not in Call of Duty. Sometimes they don't program the footsteps in right, you know, so you wouldn't even hear it. And if we're in the Matrix right now, this could be a simulation. So a lot of hitmen probably have footsteps turned off. They're running dead silence for sure.
A lot of them, actually, to be clear.
Oh yeah, you know a lot of hitmen?
No, I mean, I've watched a lot of Live Leak. I'm sorry. I had a lot of internet access as a child. It wasn't good for me at all, to be clear.
This Abe Lincoln shot that way, out. Let's see if
it exits?
Yeah, let's see if they had suppressed 22s, would it have caused him to?
Would he say Sic Semper Tyrannis? Is that it?
Yeah, Sic Semper Tyrannis. Dash.
Sic Semper Tyrannis? Oh God, gross. Oh no. Look. It's way worse than Abe Lincoln.
Oh, he's a unicorn almost.
Yeah, that actually, the slug exited the skull and kind of lodged in there. For Abe Lincoln, it actually got trapped in the brain.
Did it?
Yeah.
Because he was wearing a big old hat, dude.
Ready? Oh. So it's not exiting the brain. It's just, what's that adage about the 22 just scrambling the brain?
Oh, like a juice of dots, and you're just trying not to like take it out.
Yeah, you're not, you haven't taken your meds or whatever, and it's just kind of going bad.
So if you remember, they actually did the same surgery on in that movie Master and Commander. Right there. And then what you can do is, after you got the little bullet right there on the knife, you do a little Hunter Biden.
So what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna rapid fire into somebody's face. Because I imagine if you have the opportunity, you're probably not gonna take just one round. So we'll try that in both the chest as well as the face. We'll start with the face. Because why, Charles?
Because that's where you're supposed to drop them.
There you have it. Let us know when you're ready, Charles.
Recording.
All right.
There we go. That's more like it.
Yeah, that's bad. There's no other way to say it. That's terrible.
Oh, it's popping out the back. Oh, get this, get this.
Come here.
Shake it a little bit.
So we're gonna empty into the chest near point blank, and I'm interested to see if it.
I mean, it's at that point, it's kind of like a shotgun that you just got to pull the trigger a couple times for. You know, you got some bird shot or something. I don't know what gauge birdshot would line up with 22, but you could probably come up with something pretty close. Buckshot would be larger, but it's the same concept. You just don't get it all in one trigger pull. You gotta work for it. Exercise that trigger. You know, go to the gym, get that thing beefed up.
You know what the performance is like. We're actually gonna cut into it at that point to see if we have any good impacts on the heart. I mean, obviously he's already dead, but
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Say, let's get it again, dude.
Let's get it again. So next up, we're gonna do the not contact, but pretty close range with the on the chest, and we'll see how that. Yeah, I would say dead.
Tear the club up. Tear the fucking club up. You know what I'm saying?
So we've done a lot of ballistic testing on the 22 pistol at this point. I was definitely a little skeptical as far as how its performance would be, but I think it's definitely proven that it has absolutely has the capability to kill. Like compared to like a 9mm or compared to some other caliber, it certainly has
Where's the
not as
autopsy?
many things going for it. But again, that kind of takes me back to the survival aspect, right?
Yeah.
In a like
Shucks.
end of the world type scenario, I do see a lot of merit in the suppressed 22 pistol as a pretty good all-purpose, all-around kind of firearm to carry. It's still very capable. It is a psychotically quiet gun because like a 45 is also a subsonic weapon. However, a 45, even with a suppressor, is still significantly more decibels because there's just a lot more powder and a lot more behind it compared to the 22. So with the 22, it's definitely going to be that shot placement that is going to matter, but it's got that dog in it, man. It's so lightweight, and another thing to consider is how ubiquitous parts are for a 22, how ubiquitous 22 ammunition is. It is a fairly easy weapon to upkeep and to have on you. You can keep that thing on you, and you can know
Keep that thing on you.
discharging this even in an urban setting or suburban setting, that more than likely you're not going to be heard. The
Urban
point is
or
there's
suburban.
a lot to be said about the 22 pistol, especially with the suppressor on it. It's a very interesting concept, and I'm glad you guys could be here as we tested lethality. I think my favorite shot was the under the chin. I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, that was pretty. I mean, it gets through it. It's just who's gonna be unlucky, the guy pulling the trigger in shot placement, or the dude getting shot. I mean, well, I guess if you get shot, you're pretty unlucky.
Yeah,
no
it's a
matter
pretty
what.
unlucky
But,
day overall.
I'd rather walk away shot than live leak shot.
Leaking.
And with that, guys, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you guys so much. And as always, guys, train, drive.
Get yourself a 22. I'm telling you, they're awesome. I love rifles more, but I guess a pistol is okay. I love tube-fed semi-auto. I got some Marlin Model 60s that are just absolutely a pleasure to shoot. I could shoot them all day, and you can't beat getting a box of 500 rounds for like $40. $40 will buy you like 50 bullets of some other guns. So big difference in the amount of trigger time you can get. If you really want to train on like the AR platform or your favorite pistol firearm, you can get conversion kits for a lot of popular weapons, and you can get like an aluminum upper slide with a different barrel, and then you can train with your trigger group, your weapon, and get the trigger time. You won't practice recoil control, but you will get that time with your firearm. Same thing with ARs. You can buy bolt conversion setups so that you can run 22 LR, different mag setup, and a different bolt, and you shoot through the barrel. If you have adjustable gas, you want to turn your gas off because it's going to get really dirty. However, you just want to shoot a couple rounds of 5.56 through it after you're done playing with 22, because that will pretty much immediately burn out all that 22 residue. The 5.56 is very hot and very capable of cleaning your gun without pulling your gas block off and cleaning out the gas tube if that's the setup you got. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys get out and get a 22. I'm gonna have to recreate this video if I can ever get my hands on a ballistic dummy. Take care, guys. I'm not suicidal. I would never kill myself.